Today I will be talking about how to post a podcast for free online via the website called Anchor. All right, guys, welcome. This is the first video of this kind on this channel. And if you guys are curious on how to post a podcast or start a podcast for free, I'm going to go a little bit behind the scenes on what I do with the podcast that I host on Anchor called Hotline League, which I help Travis Gafford with, if you guys are familiar with him. And we're just going to start with this. So if you go to anchor.fm right at the top right here, what you're going to see is you're going to log in. And we have, if you don't have an account, you would create an account, but I have an account. Log in. All right, so this is what your dashboard looks like in Anchor. You can see you have a lot of information. We have a lot of decent stats now that Anchor has done their update. Today is March 8th, so it's after their biggest update. And you can see, a lot of information about where people are listening to your podcast. You can do timelines, you can do a range, you can see per episode, and these are the downloads or listens. And then you can also see all your episodes right here on the side. Then you can edit things, like if we go in here, you can edit the podcast name, podcast description. You could change your cover art for your podcast. Anchor automatically puts this little symbol right here, but that's just the cost of doing it for free. This is for free. And then you could change your Anchor profile URL, podcast author, what category you want to be in, whether it's in arts, business, comedy, education, games, and hobbies. So this would probably be video games, but I'm going to keep it at games and let's put it video games, actually. We're going to do interested video games, government, health, kids, blah, blah, blah. All kinds of stuff. Maybe we would do sports, but we're just going to keep it like this. All right, so if we scroll down into advanced stats, your podcast is now available on the following platforms. So then these are the platforms that it's available. We have it on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Overcast, Pocket Casts. And then you can actually go into setting up for smart speakers. Then we can do car speakers and go into those. You can activate, click here to learn more. Then this is the RSS feed, which that's RSS feed. Then you can change what language you want, explicit or clean. I put it on explicit because that's probably correct. So we're going to save those changes. So if we go to the view podcast profile, what we see is this is what you see on Anchor, right? So you see everything that we talked about right here. This is a cool thing. If you actually link people to your Anchor profile, you can actually see these subscribe buttons. And maybe you could just right click them and save those URLs so people can subscribe via those. But this is probably the easiest way because not everyone listens to it on iTunes or using an Apple device. Maybe they don't use the default podcast app on iOS devices. So they can come here and be like, oh, I subscribe on podcast. I listen to podcasts, so I can click here and then you automatically subscribe. Really nice. So this is your feed. This is what people can see if they go to your profile. These are all the episodes. And there's a media player embedded into your profile.
Well, we got quite the show for you on Hotline League episode 15. That's right. It's our first ever Riot.
So this skip button is actually skipping 15 minutes at a time. And then if you wanted to share, there's your easily share. You can go Twitter, Facebook, email. So yeah, that's pretty much your profile. These are your stats, overall podcast plays. This is by date. You could change the range, the time, episode downloads. This is the 5 most recent episodes. And yeah, there's a lot of things you could put up here. So let's get into what you're probably here for. So we just hit new episode. What we're doing is we're going to hit this upload button because we have a pre-recorded audio file from my computer. That's weird. We're going to drop in this guy. It got dropped in right there. Let's hear it.
Hotline League episode 16 is here, and boy, do we have a show for you.
All right, so this is 2.5 hours long. It's really long. We'll see how it goes. All right, so we're here to publish your episode. What we see here is you have 60 character limits for the episode name, which kind of sucks, but is at the same time really great because it keeps you accountable for keeping your titles short and punchy. That's a very, very important when we talk about an ADD culture where people need to just glance at your title and figure out if they're interested or not. So we just try to make this title that's jam-packed as efficient as possible. And then we have an episode description here, which I'm going to copy and paste, where we put a quick episode description. Surprise! This gives you a lot more characters. I don't know if you need to use all of those. So then we're going to go to advanced publishing settings. This is probably not needed, but everywhere full. We're going to publish it everywhere, not just Anchor. You probably don't want to just publish it on Anchor unless you have Anchor specific content that's really great for it, but you don't want to put on your podcast. I'm not really sure what you want to do there, but that's okay. Episode type, this is full, explicit, episode number 16, season 1. You can do multiple seasons, it's up to you. And right now, we have a very long episode, so that's going to take a little bit of time to process. So we're going to wait for this button to turn into a submit button or publish button. And until then, we'll be waiting. All right, we finally got it. All right, so the episode is finally published. Look at that rocket ship. Isn't it cute? You can also save this as a draft or you can schedule it for later. Let's go publish it, huh? All right, so we have the episode here. We have the segment there that it shows. I actually realized that you probably want to name these segments because people can actually see it if they go into your profile. But if we're just talking about on iTunes, on Pocket Cast, whatever, they won't see that name as far as I'm concerned or as far as I know. And when it comes to formatting, the formatting for the episode description is just not that great. Luckily, we are able to get these Twitter, the links work and they show up. And actually, yeah, so this episode is published, can be heard everywhere.
Hotline League episode 16 is here, and boy, do we have a show for you.
There it is. So you got to make sure that the segment is here. Sometimes I found it that glitches out and this segment doesn't come out, and that becomes really, really unfortunate because then I think it's published and it's not. I don't know why it happens. It's a bug. And just so we can double check that it did work, we're going to click on view episode. It goes to our profile page right there 1 minute ago.
Hotline League episode 16 is here, and boy,
there it is. So now that it's been published on Anchor, just like you can see here, it says this episode is published and can be heard everywhere your podcast is available. Note that external platforms may take up to a few hours to show new episodes. And as far as iTunes is concerned, I believe it only took 15 minutes last time I did this. And for the other platforms, it probably won't take that long either. I think this few hours is just a catch-all in case there's some weird issue that happens to just kind of cover their backs. All right, so that's pretty much it for how to publish an episode on an Anchor. There's a few more features. Maybe I'll dive into those later. Let me know if you're curious about that. I also do podcasts on different platforms like SoundCloud and Blueberry. So maybe I'll do an episode on those later. Let me know what you think. If you've enjoyed this, hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and I'll see you guys next time.